Making an impact beyond the economic advantage, helping to solve some of the world's most pressing challenges, and making meaningful and a positive impact on the community and the entire world, one startup at a time. That's what we're here to celebrate today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hub71 and welcome to Abu Dhabi. Allow me to introduce myself quickly. My name is Flo Akinbi, and I'm honored to be the host of today. And first of all, I would like to say thank you to all of you for joining us to Hub71 and the Unboxing Impact event to celebrate really the incredible achievements of 2022. A quick announcement, we still have a few seats over here, and also if you want to have a look at the screens over there and over there, you can also have a seat to enjoy this show. For the first time since the pandemic, Hub71 is bringing together its stakeholders to celebrate the success of Abu Dhabi's thriving tech ecosystem. This evening, all of you will be the first ones to see the impact report of 2022, showcasing the successes and the impact of the startups, key partnerships, programs, and of course, initiatives that have not only gained attraction here in the UAE, but also drove a significant impact. And to honor also the invaluable contributions of the ecosystem, we have a recognition ceremony for every partner who really made an impact and contributed to Hub71's. Now, there's more founders, investors, and meaningful partners that will take part here on this stage in discussions on Abu Dhabi's technology and innovation landscape, strengthening its economic resilience across several key sectors. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, I would like to turn your attention to this very screen so you can learn more about Hub71's impact in 2022.
For Abu Dhabi's global tech ecosystem, we believe impact goes beyond numbers. Impact through our lens is creating a legacy, making dreams come true, seizing the future. Impact to us is facilitating startup successes, That's why we measure impact through value creation. Value creation towards the UAE's economy. By giving startups the launchpad they need to scale to new heights. We inject more capital sources into the ecosystem to fund new technologies, solutions, and ideas. We engage with the corporate world to leverage the right support. Advancing diverse sectors with bright new minds and creative ideas. From a vibrant community for startups to flourish, we create impact through a global tech ecosystem, programs, and initiatives. From incentives that save costs for founders, and fundraising roadshows to facilitate access to capital. To diversifying sources of investment, with an expanding network of VCs and family offices. We forged powerful partnerships with global blue-chip corporations, government bodies, and leading technology companies. Our global network continued to evolve in 2022. With more activity and interactions than ever before. We also understand that impact isn't just about business performance, but it's about people. That's why we take a unique and tailored approach to every business, every startup, and every founder. Impact is what we strive for. And we are on this journey, pushing boundaries with you and for you, gaining traction, unboxing impact.
And now, to officially launch the Unboxing Impact event, it is my immense pleasure to welcome to the stage no one else than the Deputy CEO of Hub71. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ahmad Ali Alwan. Welcome.
You who were here earlier, apologies, you'll have to hear me again. And again, I would like to welcome the distinguished guests, the excellencies that have been present with us, the partners, the startups to our Impact event. The main theme we have today, obviously, is to celebrate you, the companies, startups that have been with Hub71's journey, to celebrate the partners that have been part of that story that helped us come to the metrics we were able to present here today. Today, Hub71 is a community of more than 200 startups. These startups have raised collectively more than $1 billion, and we have every ambition to see these numbers grow and multiply. Now, we've chosen the theme Unboxing Impact. It actually happened as we were developing and constructing this event. We knew we were going to do an impact event for Hub71, for our community as startups and founders. And as the team was building out this great, amazing venue, it was a lot of boxes that need to be opened up. And that in itself captured the essence of what we are trying to achieve and establish as Hub71. We have 900 people that represent our community of more than 200 startups that have decided that to make Abu Dhabi home. These people relocated, moved their lives to come set up here. They came in boxes with everything that holds dear to them and decided to place them all within Abu Dhabi in this ecosystem and building. And this is definitely something we keep building on, which is unboxing impact. Now, impact we break down into multiple categories, but I start with what is fundamental to the Hub71 story, which is the impact on our startup. If you joined us earlier, you've been able to sit in on our fundraising roadshow, seen 19 of the companies we've accepted last year, demonstrate the phenomenal ideas, and we do hope you have a chance to engage with them deeper. That's part of our mandate. We will continue to facilitate investment, and seeing our startups fundraise is just the beginning of what we aspire to achieve. Obviously, the ultimate goal that we have is to see our startups succeed and flourish out of Abu Dhabi. And as I mentioned, partners are fundamental to what we're doing, whether it's our investor partners. We have more than 30 VC partners that are part of the Hub71 story, more than 25 family offices that are part of an initiative I'm going to touch on a bit later called Tech Berza, corporate partners, more than 20 community, but beyond that, we have access to the Abu Dhabi portfolio that supports the Hub71, the technology ecosystem mission. Underpinning all of this, and I cannot stress this enough, is the community we have built. All of you here are familiar faces. All of you, just by being here, have a vibrancy and energy around technology that sometimes even and I've been part of the Hub71 story since the beginning, I get surprised by the reach, the power of the community has. I wish I could put a number on that, but there's not a single person I met that has visited Hub71 or has engaged with Hub71, with someone that has been part of the Hub71 story that hasn't told me that this is a reality that exists for the Hub71 ecosystem. From impact to startups, I want to touch on our impact on the investment landscape. Abu Dhabi is the capital of capital and has diversified sources of investments and pockets of investment available. It is such a profound and solid ecosystem, exemplified by the jurisdiction we operate in, the Abu Dhabi global market. I mentioned the institutional investors we have, and VC investments we have partnered with. But our role as Hub71 is to continue to nurture this capital ecosystem, to see the flows of funding being channeled to our startup community. And to build on our efforts, what we did last year is we have launched an initiative called Tech Berza. Tech Berza is a collective, is a membership of family offices that are active in the region. And we have taken it upon ourselves as Hub71 with the support of our partners here to ensure that we are able to unlock the value that these family offices have for Hub71, all that contribute to the success of our startup ecosystem. I love saying stories, and these are the type of things that we can't, I don't always have great opportunities to talk about, so this is definitely one. I'm going to use an example, NIMCard. I'm sure some of the NIMCard team are available here, but I'll tell you the story of NIMCard. NIMCard came and were exploring the Abu Dhabi and the Hub71 startup ecosystem opportunity back in 2019, and the company was facing a few challenges back then. When we set Hub71, we were just starting building this ecosystem. Our programs were flourishing. And at that time, Umar, the founder, had a team of around 5 to 10 people, and they're looking for a new home. They joined the Hub71 ecosystem, part of the story. I must say, Hub71, we have a lot of curated initiatives to support startups. Umar met his lead investor over coffee, just on the 15th floor. If you haven't visited Hub71, I do encourage you to do so. So you'll see how open the space is. Over coffee, tells me, Ahmed, I found my lead investor. I would tell you who, I'm just not sure about the compliance measures. We have Mr. Zahar bin Zahar sitting on the front with who's the CEO of ADGM, and I want to be careful about what I say. But they met their lead investor over coffee here. Today, NIMCard raised more than 20 million, well, in total more than $30 million, and grew their team to about 100 people. When you see stories like this is what fuels us. We face challenges, all of us. And for those of you who don't know startups, Hub71 is still a startup. We're still continue to evolve our product to achieve something that is not only profound and meaningful for the startups, but also for this great emirate and this great country we have. When we see stories like this and have an opportunity to showcase that, well, an environment like what we have built can create success stories like that, it fuels us and inspires us to keep building. We have a number of examples. I'm going to touch on a couple more. Securency has been within the ADGM and Abu Dhabi ecosystem, leading on developing a regulated blockchain financial infrastructure solutions since before Hub71 started. And the team has also progressed phenomenally, leveraging, believing in the Abu Dhabi story, believing in the vision of what we are able to achieve among this great ecosystem. Today, they have raised about $30 million in Series B and also grew their team to more than 50 people out of this ecosystem. Beyond that is the impact we have on the economy. Startups, technology play a vital role. Ultimately, when you build unicorns, globally enduring tech companies, the offshoots of that into the economy are outstanding. There's a few companies that have become unicorns or globally enduring tech companies out of the UAE. And to this day, we talk about all the teams and that ended up setting up other companies, part of the ecosystem. It spills over, it keeps growing, and that's why they're vital to any economy. Specifically on the 200 startups that are part of their community, they've generated more than $800 million in revenue, created more than 900 jobs, I mentioned earlier, and I'm reiterating, raised more than $1 billion in funding. A good segue to us capturing the important technology trends, not only as an ecosystem, but as a nation. I plug it into the year of sustainability. As you know, this year is the year of sustainability in the UAE under the theme of today for tomorrow. And we are, as a nation, demonstrating our leadership on climate change as we prepare for COP28. So climate tech is a phenomenal key theme for us going forward. And this is something we identified earlier on in the build to this being identified, the year of sustainability. We've seen us work with a company such as Air Carbon Exchange, which is the world's first fully regulated carbon trading exchange and carbon clearing house in Abu Dhabi. You'll hear from Kevin, president, co-founder of the Abu Dhabi chapter of ACX a bit later during the panel. But ACX decided to make Abu Dhabi home. They had that commitment, they believed in the vision. Ultimately, Mubadala invested and became a strategic partner of ACX, believing in the story, as we do too, as an Abu Dhabi collective. What does that mean for our future? Yes, Hub71 doesn't have the longest of stories. We started in 2019. But all of these stories showcase a key competitive advantage we have as an ecosystem. We can create specialized ecosystems where to focus on sectors, to make sure we bring in the right partners to grow these sectors. We've done it and will continue to do it for technology as a whole. But I'll give you an example of what we launched last month, which is Hub71 Plus Digital Assets. That's a specialized ecosystem fully focused on digital assets. We are leveraging the amazing regulations that exist through the ADGM, which existed since 2016 or 17 when it comes to digital assets and virtual assets. We brought in a key corporate partner, First Abu Dhabi Bank, the largest bank in the UAE, who is committed to take on the services and offerings of Web3 and digital assets. The rest falls in place. Key partners within Web3 and digital assets came into being, wanted to contribute to building this ecosystem. We have programs that work for technology as a whole. What we've done is we've customized these programs to serve digital assets. And that's how we see our future. We have this competitive advantage of being nimble, to bring in all of these key partners and fully focus on a subsector within technology to grow unicorns. And that's going to be instrumental to how we shape the Hub71 technology ecosystem with leveraging our partners. The UAE has an ambition to become an entrepreneurial nation by 2031. Whenever I get this metric, I say, well, UAE has always been entrepreneurial. Today, entrepreneurship is associated with technology, but if I look at my father, his peers, and how they built and how they thought about it, it's always been entrepreneurial. We're more specific right now. We want to see 8,000 SMEs and startups by 2030, and Hub71 is definitely part of this narrative. And when I bring it back to saying we're unboxing impact, is that yes, we know you're doing a lot by packing your things from different jurisdictions in a box, bringing it here, unboxing. What we're saying is like we were going to be there with you to help you put them in the right places with technology. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. Truly inspiring words and also wonderful stories that you were sharing. Definitely made me smile. I would like to ask you to stay with us for a moment because now it is time to recognize a few of the key partners that you were talking about, and that's why we have a recognition ceremony. And we'll hand over now tokens of appreciation and tokens of recognition in 3 categories: for corporate partners, for investors, and of course for the startups. And the first recognition is now handed over to the most active local partner, commercialization and POCs. Ready? And this one goes to Aldar. Congratulations. 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 Next, we're recognizing the most active international partner, commercialization and POCs. And this one would be MasterCard. Congratulations. Congratulations. And now we're saying thank you to our most active partner, community building. And that will be no one else than the Department of Health Abu Dhabi. And we have one more recognition to give for the corporate partners, and this one is, of course, for the Ecosystem Partner of the Year. And this can be no one else than, of course, ADGM. And now we're recognizing the investors, and we want to show our appreciation, of course, to them. They have contributed immensely to the impact that we are celebrating today. And the first, we have the most active investor mentorship, and that will be no one else than Global Ventures. Congratulations. And And now we say thank you to the most active investor in event participation. I've seen the number of events that you put on. It's a lot. And that would be BNY Venture Partners. Congratulations. Well, and finally, we need to, of course, recognize the Investor of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, Shuruk! Well, and now, of course, it's on to the startups. And there's a few startups, founders and entrepreneurs that really deserve an appreciation for their continuous effort. So the first recognition is for the Startup of the Year. And as you mentioned, it is the year of sustainability. So therefore, leading up to COP21, we want to recognize a startup that contributes to creating a sustainable world. And ladies and gentlemen, that would be no one else than Arki Reeve. And now we want to recognize the hidden gem, maybe the one who doesn't even want to be in the spotlight, but they really deserve it. It is the startup with the most potential. Darda! Now the next category, the next recognition is really an amazing one because it's for the connector. It's that person that you can call at any point in time, and that person always knows who to connect you with, always has somebody just under their contact details. And this is one of the first startups that were accepted to Hub71 in 2019. The connector. Better word from Lamsa! And we have one final recognition, and I mean, it's Hub71. We're talking about entrepreneurship, so this one, of course, has to be for the hustler. The one that is the first one in the office and the last one at night to turn off the lights. And that is no one else than Zain Taraoune from the Green Future Project! Once again, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for Ahmad Ali Alwan. And congratulations to all the impact that we are celebrating today, and of course to your amazing startups. Now it is time to kick off our series of discussions, and we are starting with the first panel discussion on energizing tech ecosystems for climate resilience. It is the time where sustainability is a lot more than just a buzzword. This time is actually long gone. Sustainability means action. Action that needs to be taken today or is already taken today, will continue tomorrow, and of course, leave its legacy in the future. So we have ultimately a planet that we can leave behind for the future generations. And what that action looks like is exactly what our next panel will discuss. So let me introduce them to you. They're moderated by Eleanor O'Keefe, Senior Director of Corporate Sustainability, EMEA at Edelman. And that panel is the Acting Director, Master City Free Zone, Ahmad Ali Alwan, the President and Senior Executive Officer, Middle East and Africa of Air Carbon Exchange, Kevin Iwanaga. And we have the Chief Operating Officer of Tabrit, Antonio Di Cecca. Please give them all a warm welcome.
Introduction. Talking about ecosystems is one of my favorite things, so I think we're well placed to talk about the tech ecosystem and how we might energize and invigorate it. It has been a very big day for climate. I think most of you have been here, so perhaps haven't seen the news, but the IPCC, which is the UN's body of scientists, has just published its final report. And the news, as we might expect, is not very cheery. We are, as the UN Secretary General says, on our final warning for climate. So the urgency with which all of these people on stage is working is of utmost importance. I would just like to start off, perhaps, if we're going to talk about energizing ecosystems and how we bring people together. Let me talk to you, Amer, and ask you about Masdar City. You have 900 companies based in startups in Masdar City Free Zone. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means as an innovation hub? How does it work in practice, and what are the sort of tangible benefits that you see for co-locating startups and companies?
Sure thing. First of all, my name is Ahmad Ali Alwan. I'm the acting director here at Masdar City Free Zone. We manage, you can say, close to about 1,000 companies. Now, Masdar itself serves as, obviously, you know, it's broken ground in 2008. The concept itself is from 2006. And ever since then, we've been innovating. So that, you can see that in the entire 6 square kilometers of the Masdar City project itself. I always say that Masdar is a place where you live, work, play, and learn. And because of that, you have innovation taking place all the time. There's so many factors of the city itself. I mean, the building structure itself are all comprised, for example, of Pearl 3, Pearl 4 rated buildings. Because of that, you can say that it has the largest structure of clean tech buildings in one location. And we've got also, for example, MOUs that we've signed with other entities to help the clean tech sectors thrive. One of the things that we've done is that we've also worked with Hub71, to where we have an MOU that we have worked with them on the clean tech startup companies themselves. As you can see, for example, this event that we're at, we have a lot of companies that have started their businesses here as well and are thriving very, very well. And we have projects that are currently taking place in the city, Masdar City itself, to where we also onboard companies, startup companies that graduated from Hub71 and then will come and then live their duration over there at Masdar City. One of the projects that we have, Eleanor, is a project called Central Park. So Central Park is being built as we speak. So for any of the companies out here that would also like to then pass their tenure of 2 years here at Hub71, would like to also continue their growth in the city, Masdar City, we're here for them. We also work with a variety of other organizations. We work, for example, with the other free zones, such as you've got, right off the head, the airport free zone we work with, for example. We work with ADGM. We work with several banks as well to try and get the financing for the startup companies themselves. So it's not just one specific area to try and help grow the ecosystem. It covers a lot of other areas. So we take it one step at a time, we always say. Live, work, learn, and play, and make it a fun experience. Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I love the way that you look at the needs of your companies throughout their lives. So if they sort of incubate here in Hub71, that there's a further follow-on support and an environment that can nurture them. I think that seems like a brilliant, if we can segue into innovation, it's an innovative approach. But I think I'd love to come to you, Kevin, to talk about air carbon exchange, because it is a radically innovative idea. Can you tell us a little bit about it and a little bit about how this sort of innovative approach to commodities trading has resulted in ACX?
Sure, thank you, Eleanor, and good evening, everybody. What a wonderful evening to spend with you tonight. So Air Carbon Exchange is the first fully digital carbon trading platform in the world. We're a blockchain-based infrastructure. We're bringing this innovation to sustainability and to the carbon markets, really with the goal and the mission to help drive capital flows to global projects that help to reduce, remove, avoid carbon emissions across the globe. Now, what we've done which is quite unique from other platforms is we've taken traditional commodities architecture. And what I mean by that is if you take, let's say, soybeans as a commodity, right? And you have soybeans that are grown from farms, they're put into trucks, they're driven to warehouses, and then that commodity sits in a warehouse, and then digital receipts are created, right? And then while that underlying asset, which is the soybean, sits in the warehouse, the digital receipts go onto a commodities exchange and are traded. And if you look at the soybean markets, close to, I would say, 80% or more of the revenue generated from the sale of soybeans is from trading, rather than just from warehouse to the stores, right? So it's pivotal and critical to the scaling of the markets. So we've taken that concept and applied it to carbon. And carbon is traded universally in a metric of one metric ton, okay, and that's universal. So we take that carbon credits, we tokenize it, and that token in effect is the digital receipts. Now the underlying carbon credit, which represents a project somewhere in the world, that sits in a regulated custody warehouse account. And then that digital receipt or that token goes on to the blockchain Air Carbon platform, and that's what's traded, all right? And so what we're doing is we're applying the best technologies available, the most scalable and efficient, to traditional commodities architecture, and applying that to carbon.
That's so brilliant. Let me just stay with you for a second, because you shared a lovely story when we were on the sidelines about the impact that's having, because I would love you to talk about, well, how does that then lead us to a more sustainable future? What is the practice of trading this carbon that leads to proper outcomes?
Sure. So there, as the carbon markets develop, and they are really just at the infancy stage, there's going to be a number of developments and ways that carbon trading will help to decarbonize the world and help individual companies and industry sectors decarbonize. So one of the most efficient ways is through what's called carbon offsetting. Okay, and you may have heard this in the news. And what that does is allows companies to go through the process of measuring their carbon emissions footprint. And carbon emissions footprint are measured in terms of a scope 1 or scope 2 or scope 3 emissions. Real quickly, scope 1, for those that don't know, are carbon emissions or greenhouse gas emissions as a direct result of your company's operations. Scope 2 emissions are an indirect emission based off the energy that you consume to run your operations, like electricity, water, power. And then scope 3, the most complex, is your whole value supply chain and all the emissions that are generated from there. So if you take, for example, in the UAE, one of the largest companies in Abu Dhabi, ADNOC, and you look at how they generate their business and their operating model, it's very carbon intensive. And the technologies are just not yet developed at scale to allow companies such as ADNOC to really transition its operations and to decarbonize them efficiently. It's going to take decades probably before that technology is available at scale. So what carbon offsets will allow a company like ADNOC or any corporate to do is to take the carbon emissions that they are releasing into the atmosphere, invest in projects in other locations around the world that will capture or remove the same amount of carbon emissions that they are emitting into the operations, and hence offsetting. And this is a critical financing and tool that we're going to have to leverage globally, or we will have no chance to really reach net zero by any meaningful time frame, which is right now 2050. And based off the report that you just mentioned, we're way off target for that. Yeah. So the scaling of the carbon markets, the use of carbon offsetting is going to be a vital, critical tool in the UAE to help decarbonize.
Thank you so much. Antonio, I'd love to come to you because I think it's really important. I mean, if we look at the number of large corporations and organizations that exist already, they too have to go on a journey of innovation. And I think Tabrid has done some amazing work partnering with private sector organizations and public ones too. Could you tell us a little bit about the sort of R&D strategy at Tabrid and how you work to stimulate innovation within the organization?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Tabrid is a district cooling company, the leader district cooling company worldwide, and we are honored to be in Abu Dhabi, in Masdar City. Our headquarters is in Masdar City. We have more than 86 plants overall the region. And basically, our business is energy efficiency. So we are cooling the buildings in Abu Dhabi, the most beautiful buildings in Abu Dhabi. We are here in this island. All the buildings are cooled by us. And what is the driver for us? Is sustainability. And this not only because it's the year of sustainability, but because we baptized our company Sustainable Cooling. Tabrid Sustainable Cooling. You will see it everywhere in our slogans. What does this mean? We want to tackle a problem which is the energy use. How we can better use the energy we spend for cooling. And cooling here in the region represents more than 17% of the peak electricity demand in summer. So we can imagine the huge impact that this has on overall energy mix and economic sector. Of course, if we don't invest in innovation, if we don't invest in R&D, we cannot follow the pace of everything is evolving around us. The building sector is evolving, the economic sector is evolving. So we need to follow this movement, and we are massively investing resources, time, and capital into new technologies. Not only, let's say, on the hardware side, but especially on digital tools, going through digital transformation. And I remember the day we visited the Hub71, and Ahmad invited us, our CEO, and other colleagues, and we were up to in the office and discussing about how startups and innovation can benefit an industry and the industry sector, because at the end of the day we represent an utility, so the industry sector. And there came up ideas on how to bring value to already the offer that we give to our customers, and bringing more value, making it more sustainable, what we are selling as cooling. And there we came up with discussions around carbon credits, how we can tokenize, how we can give a value of the savings that we are generating for our customers. Because at the end of the day, what we are generating is less energy consumed by the buildings, which can be translated into credits that can be translated into carbon credits. And this joins what my colleague was here explaining about carbon market. And this is a virtual circle where everyone can benefit. And at the end, one of the common factor to all this is innovation.
And also collaboration
And
too,
collaboration.
actually, I think, which is something that the UAE does so exceedingly well, actually, is bring people together. Let me just go back to you, Amer, and let's talk about, I mean, maybe you can tell us what sort of lessons do you think that the startups or the companies in Masdar City can learn, and from your own approach to innovation and sustainability, how could they apply those lessons to their own businesses?
Yeah, sure thing, Eleanor. I mean, I think they should look at the entire story of Masdar City. What we've done from inception. You know, a lot of people probably thought that some of these concepts wouldn't work, but we strived on ahead. Obviously, research and development. Speaking of research and development, Masdar City itself has a R&D cluster dedicated for that, you know, one of a kind in the region. And we believe in the concept of a knowledge-based economy. It's very important to move from the transition of fossil fuel to a knowledge-based economy to be able to build these things, to be able to become innovative, to be able to build new structures. You know, things such as the Pearl, as I mentioned earlier, the Pearl 4 rated buildings that we have, the LEED Platinum building that we have. But this can only take place through knowledge, through research and development. So one of the things that we are doing to try and push that concept forward, going back to the agreements I was mentioning that we have another agreement, for example, with the AI University, in which we're right now developing a package to try and boost that sector of the industry, which is the AI sector. And so we have that in place happening now as we speak. So I think for startups, going back to your question, Eleanor, that startups should try to see the example that we're setting there and to say to themselves, hey, we can do the same thing, maybe not at the same capacity, but within their own capacity, but with the same outcome, right? Which is a low impact on the environment. And hey, Masdar City is here for you as well to come and become a part of it. Another aspect of the city is that we're a free zone. So we actually help you start your businesses up from license, registrations, licensing. We have a venture, for example, called the Catalyst, which is a joint venture between British Petroleum and Masdar City. So that is a catalyst for clean tech startups to try and get businesses up and running. We work very closely, again, with our lovely friends, Hub71, to try and get that also moving forward. Of course, our sector is all focusing on the sustainability, AI, future, right? And it's an ever ongoing process. So people sometimes will ask, hey, when will the project be finished? It'll never be finished. It just keeps on going. Yeah, you know. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah,
I would say that.
that's a lovely thought. It's ongoing, and innovation is constant, isn't it?
That's true.
I suppose another great ecosystem that exists here in the UAE is the Web3 community. It's such a vibrant and active and dynamic part of the tech community here, which of course you use a lot. Or your ACX uses blockchain. Could you just go into that a little bit for us, Kevin, and tell us how you harness Web3.
Sure. What we've discovered in the course of building out our platform is we looked at the existing market and the infrastructure and the technology available, and we just saw that there was a lot of friction in the markets. You know, in the trading operations, in the settlement functionality, in the custody of a transaction, and the common typical commodities trade settlement period is a T+2 or T+3, which means 2 to 3 days, right, before a transaction is settled. Now, through blockchain technology, what we've been able to achieve for the first time is a T+0, which is really what markets have been trying to achieve forever, right? And a T+0 means real-time settlements, right? So for the first time, we're able to take a spot commodity carbon contract and settle this in real time on the blockchain. And the other significance about that is not only do you have that real-time settlement, you remove all the settlement risk because of that, but you create, which is very important for the carbon markets, that immutable record on-chain in real time that the United Nations can see at the same time, the market participants can see, the carbon registries, all the ecosystem members can see in real time who owns that credit, who settled it, where it is in the life cycle of its trading life cycle. And that's really one of the big gains that we've seen that blockchain allows us to really harness. And once we sort of master that digitization of a commodity, then it opens up an entire whole new world of possibilities. So as I mentioned earlier, carbon credits universally around the world trade in a unit of 1 metric ton. But once you digitize that, what you can then start to do is fractionalize that, which is very exciting, and we're starting to look at this. So you can break that 1 ton carbon credit, fractionalize it, because it's digital, and then it opens up unlimited possibilities how you can start to integrate fractions of a carbon credit with the retail sector, right? If you look at the entire consumer market on any goods and products, they all have some carbon footprint associated with any economic activity. And we are moving very quickly into this carbon-constrained world where, and as technologies evolve and develop, every transaction has a carbon footprint and therefore has an offset opportunity. So when you go to the gas station to fill your car, you will have an option in the not too distant future to pay a few dirhams extra to actually offset that transaction to make it a carbon neutral transaction. And technology and AI and blockchain will only help to proliferate and enable that consumer segment participate in the carbon markets, which means all that consumer capital through purchasing and that purchasing power will then be able to flow to projects in Brazil that are reforesting damaged forest, or into carbon capture storage technologies in the UAE, or to mangroves and peats in Africa. So really harnessing both the institutional market and now through fractionalization of carbon credits through blockchain and tokenization, you can now really start to integrate the entire consumer segment into channeling capital and flows to projects.
I'm very keen to be able to have a carbon neutral coffee at some point, so I'll be looking out for that one. We're going to run out of time, sadly, but Antonia, let me come to you, because Tabrid does such amazing work in bringing down the sort of carbon footprint of cooling and driving sustainability. This region, I mean, if the world globally is looking to hit 1.5 degrees of warming, this region, unfortunately, might reach about 4 degrees of warming because of the imbalances in how that global warming is going to hit. I would love to understand, like, the planning scenarios of how you are preparing for that radically warmed world here, and how you're helping your clients prepare for it.
So as you said, as far as we cool buildings inefficiently, we will just increase the temperature outside. So this is a fact, and this is scientifically proven, everyone knows it. It's like a simple statement, but behind all our job is a constant effort to bring more efficiency and more sustainability in the chilled water we produce, because we produce chilled water and we distribute through a network which is hidden underground, and then we distribute in all the buildings. So, as I said before, innovation is key in this, because if we don't invest in innovation, we will not achieve such results. And we want this to be a continuous improvement. And all the savings that we are achieving, reducing the carbon footprint of cooling, are benefiting the entire building sector, which represents 10% of the electricity consumption worldwide. And the building itself, 20% in average, is just cooling. If an average in the world, not in this region, of course. But what we strive to achieve is what is the best, most efficient, cost-effective system for the customers to have comfort in the building, but reduce the carbon footprint. And we can achieve this only if all the stakeholders go in the same way: master planners, developers, communities, and of course regulators. All we have to go hand by hand, hand in hand, and go and follow the same target. If we fail, we will all fail.
Beautifully put. We have just under 5 minutes, and we started out on a somber note, but I think this being the tech community, which is such a source of positivity and hope, I think we should end on a more hopeful note. So I'm going to ask all three of you very quickly, what gives you hope? Antonio, let me start with you.
Well, what gives me hope is to see what is working.
Yeah.
Gives me hope what I see here tonight, like young generation, all generations all together, different nationalities, different ideas, bringing the climate at the center of this talk or this evening, and bringing innovation into that. And I hope that this will continue.
Thank you. Kevin?
So, given that in the UAE this is the year of sustainability and the lead up to COP28, which the UAE is hosting, I'm very hopeful and encouraged by the activity, the energy, the action that I've seen being generated in the UAE right now. The leadership through Dr. Sultan and his entire COP28 team. I'm really hopeful that some significant groundbreaking announcements and breakthrough decisions will occur at the United Nations level that will involve the participation and the agreements and consensus of all countries around the world that have committed to net zero. And it's such a serious and it's such a significant problem of our generation. It really is going to require that level of acceptance, adoption, and collaboration to really fight this problem and to reverse the trends that we're seeing, that we're reaching this tipping point that I'm very concerned about, that once you reach a lot of these tipping points, there's no reversal of that, right? If the polar caps melt, you cannot reverse that trend. And that releases fresh water into the oceans, that changes the currents, that changes the biodiversity, and that changes temperatures, and it's just, the impact is just incredible.
So we will put our hope in collaboration and the leadership of the UAE, which I think are very good places to put them. We have 2 minutes left. Amr, tell me.
I won't make it long. I think knowledge and the sharing of knowledge is very important. As Kevin mentioned earlier, diversity is very important. We're working and collaborating with multinationals from around the world. As you know, the UAE has over 200 nationalities, and we invite everyone to bring their ideas and make the world a better place.
I think that's lovely. It just remains for me to thank you all three for sharing your wonderful insights and thoughts and knowledge, and for bringing your energy to this ecosystem tonight. Let me ask you to give them all a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. There is one more discussion to be had, one more discussion that also will make us hopeful. From climate, we're now moving on to another very, very important topic right after we've taken, of course, a great photo of everybody together. And by the way, Eleanor, you asked the question, what are we hopeful for? Well, I'm hopeful because of all of your great work that you are doing here on this stage. I think that's another round of applause, everybody. Thank you very much. So from climate, we're now moving on to healthcare, health tech for better patient outcomes. Over the last decades, the healthcare sector has seen a lot of innovations, a lot of new technologies. However, the latest technologies truly have the potential to create an impact that is beyond anything that we've seen so far. And how the patients will integrate and interact with the healthcare system, how they will feel about their own health, deal with their own illnesses, diseases, is what we're going to explore in this panel. So please join me in welcoming our moderator, the TV presenter and host, Jesse Elmour, and the panelist, Dr. Asma Al-Manaei, was unfortunately not able to make it. However, we have from the Department of Health, Abu Dhabi, the Division Director, Health Sector Innovation, Dr. Dirk Richter. We have the COO and co-founder of Okadoc, Jaseen Ben Ali, and the CEO of Predictive, Sajun Yoon. Please give them all a warm welcome.
Before we start with health tech, I've never been more excited to recognize the scent. What is the scent, the mesmerizing smell, the scent you smelled when you walked in today? It's a famous food in the Middle East. Yassine, don't disappoint me.
Shawarma?
Shawarma. Why was I so excited to recognize the smell of shawarma, and what on earth does that have to do with health tech? Since contracting COVID in March last year, not this year, last year, I contracted it twice, completely lost my sense of smell and taste, completely. Up until 2 to 3 weeks ago when I started recognizing smells. So now when I walked in tonight, I said, this is shawarma, I can smell again. And I don't even like shawarma. And during COVID, my eyesight also deteriorated, hence the need for discussing the massive increase in the need of quality healthcare across the globe. Now, some of the numbers before we start giving you the latest trends and insights, as well as the challenges with the rising demand of quality healthcare here in MENA region. This demand for quality healthcare is being met by rapidly increasing health tech industry and solutions that's projected to reach $336 billion by 2050. So such innovative technologies, we're discussing telemedicine, AI, obviously, transforming the healthcare landscape, and of course the potential of improving the patient care and outcomes. So we're talking about limitless opportunities, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. Richter. Looking back at the past 3 years, what improvements maybe would you say were able to be established as the foundations for healthcare research and innovation in Abu Dhabi? And maybe quickly, what else needs to be done to cement the UAE capital position as a global healthcare research and innovation hub?
Thank you, first of all. Yeah, it's hard to say, so what has been achieved? I mean, you can go by the numbers,
Yeah.
And Ahmed already mentioned, if you look at the number of startups, for example, we have managed to license around 90 health tech startups and ADGM throughout the last 3 years, which is a significant increase. If you look at how those small startups, sometimes only 1 or 2 founders grow, the number of jobs is impressive. But I think the most important aspect looking into the future is we have managed to build this community. Of course, there is Hub71 as a platform bringing all this together, and we are very proud to be a part of Hub71 with a team of our own. But there's also other government entities like Abu Dhabi Investment Office who are really talking to us on the same level, so we really understand each other. There is ADGM as a great platform. There are our healthcare providers. We also see the big pharma companies joining us. So it's not about our huge market. I mean, if you compare Abu Dhabi to the rest of the bigger markets, it's really about this platform we can offer for innovation, which is one of the key aspects. So I think this community building and startups coming from all the different channels to join us is probably the most promising thing for the future. So what
I know there's a lot more to be done, but if
Yeah.
you were to sum up the crucial
Yeah.
area where we need to focus.
Yeah, I think what we need to do for Abu Dhabi is also to leverage our power as a regulator. So we like a startup ourselves, we work with startups, but creating policies, paying for innovation by health insurance, which means we need to be able to assess health technologies, which we started to, like an FDA role. So for Abu Dhabi, I think it's not only working like a startup ourselves, but really creating the big ecosystem for innovation, which comes with paying for technologies and all the things we can do as a regulator, enabling innovation with our licensing departments and all of it. So there's a lot of things we can do to make Abu Dhabi #1 for testing technologies and commercializing.
Yassine, this is not too far from where we're going to discuss with you. I know there's been many challenges that this sector has faced, and it's multi-layered and it's continuous. What has been, in your opinion, maybe some of the top challenges in the wider adoption of telehealth solution, tech health solution, and how can we have a better cooperation between the public and private sectors, which is obviously crucial now?
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank Hub71 for organizing such an amazing event. We've been part of Hub71 since 2019, and I can see that they're doing a wonderful job, better every year. Going back to the challenges healthcare in general is a very complex field and an industry, and when you're going to adding technology to it and bringing telehealthcare or telehealth or virtual consultation, you add another layer of complexity because usually technology should not be looked at as a standalone. It's part of an ecosystem, it's a building block. And if we want to focus on, let's say, the 3 main challenges in terms of adoption of telehealth, I would say number 1 is reimbursement and regulation. That is what tips the balance in terms of how fast healthcare providers can adopt telehealth. And the second one will be the interoperability, and that goes back again to the ecosystem. So as a telehealth technology, you should be able to fit in within the patient journey, fit in with all the technologies that are being used by the healthcare sector. And I would add the third one, which is potentially the result of these two, which is the adoption of the provider and the patient. So those two, the technology plays a role. Building easy to use technologies makes it much easier for the doctor and the provider to adopt. Having a solution that is interoperable, that talks to the EMR or the HIS, makes it easy for the provider to adopt as well. And from a patient side, I think if we talk before COVID and post-COVID, it's different kind of approach, because what COVID has shown to us, not only in healthcare but also in business, is that you can do things remotely. And being able to see a doctor and do a virtual consultation, maybe it was something taboo before, but people during COVID, during lockdowns, has manage to use that technology and get the care they need. It's not a replacement of the in-person, so that's another topic that we can talk about, but those are the challenges. I think the public sector and the private sector, where they can really collaborate together into creating this adoption, one of the things is the regulation in terms of reimbursements, and also from the private sector being able to innovate and bring new technologies to make the healthcare experience better for the patients. That's the two things that they can do.
So with each tech solution comes a whole series of challenges, which is what brings me to you. And you are going to address possibly one of the most pressing, it might not be new, but it's one of the most pressing challenges that almost every sector faces, which is data privacy. So data privacy, the big elephant sometimes in the room, but it's no longer an elephant. Data privacy obviously is a key healthcare topic. From your standpoint, what are some of the key elements of a robust data infrastructure to facilitate these enhancements with less challenges in this industry?
I think the first, we need to define the right data types and the standard. After that, we need to also come up with a plan, data cleaning, and we have to come up with a flow and how to search. And also, we need to assign the right people and to the right task. And also, continuous monitoring should be thought in the beginning. And I like to point out interesting facts for the data. One, people think that data is forever once it stores in the database. However, if you treat as like a milk or it expires, I think that's the more right way of regarding the data, because data is, you always collect the data for the primary purpose, and it has to be used for the primary purpose. And in addition, it has the, during the data is always got collected with a context in it. So that's why if you treat the data as like a milk or the eggs, I think that's the
So it has a sort of a shelf life.
Yes.
Upon it being used for its purpose. Otherwise, it's pointless or it's outdated.
Yeah.
You said, you mentioned something I just want to follow up on. You mentioned a list of steps that need to be done, and you said there needs to be monitoring, of what type of data. What do you mean by that?
There are certain specific, the monitoring,
Yes.
Data monitoring is the continuous process. We have to look at the integrity and the collection of data. For example, my personal experience, during my PhD times, I worked on the prospective cohort study, and then it has to follow the right standard, and right questions have to be asked, and also continuous data cleanup based on the data analytics software. Those things need to be
updated.
Updated. Yeah.
Dr. Richter, if I go back now to opportunities, we discussed challenges, we discussed potential collaboration. Let's go to biggest opportunities for startups and health tech solutions to advance healthcare delivery and create more of a positive outcome for the patient. What would you say it is?
Yeah, I think the buzzword, and Dr. Sajung is sitting in the middle, is of course precision medicine and precision prevention.
Massive opportunity.
So we have massive opportunity.
Yep.
We have the Emirati or now genome project. So we have the biggest genomic project in the world. We have our central patient record, Malafi, so all patient data, whatever happens in healthcare in Abu Dhabi is in one data source. We're on the way to extend to the whole country. So we really know what's happening, and now it's up to us to develop solutions to be much earlier in finding diseases before they really break out. I mean, we know around the corner, Cleveland Clinic is a very nice building and amazing healthcare. However, to manage all the things that come up, we need to be much earlier. Prevention, to identify patients at risk, and so on, to really have precision prevention, which is key.
Congratulations. I think data is king in this area. So in this year, data is king and remains so in the healthcare. So Yassine, if we talk about telehealth as a means to facilitate complicated process and also access to affordable healthcare, patients are also looking for personalized experiences, traditionally through face-to-face interaction. So how can this basically be balanced to be struck and achieved between what they want and what's available?
You know, there is something that a lot of people, when you talk to them about telehealth, they think about an on-demand virtual
Yes.
consultation,
Yes.
talking to a doctor like a call center.
Yeah.
What we have done when we developed our telehealth solution is that we went the other way around and we said, if we want to use telehealth as a technology, we should be able to make it as a part of the healthcare journey of the patient, right? So there is a continuum of care. And one of the things that by using the scheduled video consultation with your own doctor, what you do is that it's not either or, it's either an on-demand that is not personalized or a face-to-face that is personalized. Then you're able to start your journey with your own doctor through a hybrid care delivery model, through virtual consultation, and then if need be, then you can still have the face-to-face. And I think by making the reimbursement of the telehealth on par with the in-person, that will accelerate the adoption from healthcare provider and will incentivize the healthcare provider to plug in telehealth during the continuum of care of patients so they can use it with the in-person. I'll give you a few examples. Is that, for example, if I need a follow-up,
Yeah.
which does not require me to come to the clinic, I can still have my video consultation with the doctor. It saves me half day between driving, parking, registration, waiting in the waiting room, seeing the doctor for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And also from the doctor perspective or the healthcare provider perspective, it reduces the cost. We're talking about sustainability, COP28 emissions. This is key to reducing also the emissions due to displacement to go to see a healthcare provider, but also to reduce the cost when it comes to healthcare. There is also, when I say about reimbursement and regulation, it could be part of a value-based healthcare that is not encounter-based, but it's part of a journey based on the outcomes. So healthcare providers are incentivized to use virtual consultations.
There's certainly a lot of options and different ways to look at it. We're definitely evolving in this era, and us as patients, non-healthcare experts, are also learning a lot from you. So, Dr. Richter, if I were to ask you maybe to summarize, what are the key learnings from your ongoing initiatives, maybe top 3 things that come on your mind as key learnings, and what advice would you give to founders looking to contribute to Abu Dhabi and the regional healthcare landscape?
Yeah, so I think one of the key learnings is, of course, healthcare is sometimes quite resilient when it comes to innovation, for good reasons. Since first of all, we need to guarantee patient safety, which sometimes means, and I'm looking at Okadok and others, it's not that easy for a startup being very dynamic. I just remember our first meeting, you told us whatever doesn't happen within 20 seconds in e-commerce, it doesn't work at all. So healthcare, it's more 20 minutes to get an appointment. So
Yeah.
there is a certain gap between 20 minutes and 20 seconds, and that needs to be bridged. It needs to be bridged by startups to listen to the problems. We see many of them coming with solutions, but there is no problem. Really listening to the market, and then have some kind of patience. And don't stop to really work with healthcare to understand the needs and the other thing. I think that's the key message after all.
So I want to, I know we're conscious a bit of time, we're running out, we have just a few minutes left, but I want to ask you maybe on the role of patient education. It's a big part of the change we're trying to do, and what role does it play in encouraging a bigger use of technology in daily life, specifically in healthcare?
I think the healthcare technology could transform healthcare, the patient education from teaching to coaching. So basically, I like to come up with a COMB model that was suggested by Mitch et al. So C is the capability. At first, this technology, healthcare technology, helps the patient to recognize they have the capability. Let me show the example of the Parkinson's patient. Parkinson's patient has the cochlear rigidity, so it's hard to move. But with the digital technology, your digital therapeutics, they try to catch the ball and they recognize, oh, I could move. So they recognize their capability, and actually physicians and healthcare providers are the ones who encourage people. And secondly, it's an opportunity. So when from the encounter between patient and physicians, they recognize, oh, this is actually my doctor is encouraging me to take the action, and instead of learning and passive learning, it's more like an active doing together. And then that leads to, so capability and opportunity lead to the motivation. And then once we have the motivation, then it leads to the behavioral changes.
So if I were to ask you before I conclude with Yassine, what advice would you give to someone who is looking, to founders who are looking to get into this industry, new founders?
Yeah, I like to point out that new founders, founder means we have some technology or ideas. I think it's more matter of perseverance, and then keep trying and make it happen. So I think the most important thing is the passion and the truth from the heart. So I think people understand that I think, yeah, that's the one.
And a lot of data.
Yeah, and the data.
Understand your data. So maybe, Yassine, I might conclude with you. Okadoc has emerged as one of the top funded health tech startups. What do you think are the challenges facing health tech startups at the moment when it comes to fundraising? And do you think the appetite for health tech investments will grow in the coming years? That last one is tough. I don't expect you to.
It is going to take 10 hours
Yeah.
to start the challenge.
Here's your timer. You have 4 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, I can. Look, the health tech field is very hot at the moment, especially after COVID. I think COVID has brought the real picture of the healthcare, that there is a lot of innovation, there is a lot of technology to be used. I'm not talking inside the hospital, I'm talking also outside of the hospital. How can healthcare make use of technology to be decentralized through different hybrid care delivery models? So a lot of investors are really looking into investing and injecting cash into the field. But from the health tech field as a startup, it's a very high capital requirement because it requires research, development, a lot of regulatory compliance, data privacy, data security, and a lot of technical knowledge to be able to build that technology even before you go to market. And then when you go to market, the market is so fragmented, and the appetite for trying new things is very low in healthcare. So it takes a lot of education, a lot of proof of concepts with the healthcare provider to be able to adopt it. So there is always the pioneers, the one that take that leap of faith and try it, but it doesn't give you scale. So from an investor perspective, they should take into account that startups that are in this health tech field are not startups that can grow exponentially in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, the same way you're having that scale in e-commerce and things like that. So it's very different, but it requires a lot of patience and resilience from the founders as well.
So if I were to wrap up really quickly, I would say building and getting involved with the community, innovating, understanding your data and persevering with it are some of the key advice that we got from you. It's definitely always a growth journey to meet every few months that I meet up with the Hub71 community. I see the growth that you were discussing. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, and enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been a pleasure to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sajun, Jazine, Dirk, and of course Jesse to you as well. Well, there was a lot to be discussed here. The healthcare sector is hot. That's a fact. Outstanding opportunities, and not just financial and economic ones. It's also about prevention. It's about new ways of healthcare and a lot more, and we clearly heard that on this stage. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the program here on stage is now coming to an end, but fortunately, the night is far from over. You're now invited to have a look around, enjoy, of course, conversations with our startups, the founders that you can find in the booths over there and over there. And of course, we would like to say one more time, thank you to all of you for attending. Thank you to every startup for your contribution to the impact. And of course, also thank you to all the partners. And with this, we would like to conclude and say it has been an exciting time, and there's a lot more to come at Hub71 and in Abu Dhabi as we innovate and accelerate into the future of technology in the Emirates and globally. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.